Good day, I'm Junior Researcher Adam Southgate, and my role within the Order of Merlin, as decreed by the Druid Committee, is to create these instructional videos to further the education of our hunters. I'd like to ask that all hunters of the horrors of the spheres please subscribe as to not miss future lectures and announcements. I would also appreciate, no matter which country's anti-incursion team you may belong to, any stories of horrific entities you may have faced personally written in the comment area of this video. Now, on to general announcements. To begin, some troubling but interesting news. A breach was made in Snowdonia National Park on Wednesday. Now, that alone really isn't newsworthy, however, what is that nothing seemingly came through. That alone would be strange, but the breach is still there, the crack in our sphere still just hanging suspended in mid-air. So far, we've placed an armed cordon around the breach and have begun investigating. What's truly fascinating, however, is the idea that if the breach is stable, we may be able to travel to and from our sphere to whichever sphere is on the other side. Now, obviously, traveling to a universe with completely different physical laws is, well, a terrible idea, but we may be able to send drones through and gain our first images of another universe. Finally, Skinner theories have been active within the city of Newport. Multiple flayed bodies have been discovered hanging from lampposts. Local authorities have managed to play off the incidents as a lone deranged mundane killer who is now in custody. However, the cover story will quickly lose any legitimacy once more bodies start showing. We are unsure of the size of the infestation due to the varying strengths of their magics. This could be the work of one powerful individual or 100 young Skinner fairies training their abilities. We need an experienced fairy trapper for the job, at least at the rank of master. Given these are Skinner fairies, all regulation around humane disposal of the fairies will be lifted for this contract. If you are interested in this contract, please contact your local order office. So, today we'll be covering the Fey Sphere's Hag. So then, to begin, hags are extremely powerful Fey entities with abilities equivalent to gods. Thankfully, however, unlike gods, they are bound by their own laws. These laws are strange and unfathomable to beings like ourselves who live in a world of cause and effect, but to hags, they are as binding as gravity is to us. Each individual hag possesses their own overarching goal, which they will move heaven and earth to achieve. However, even in this, they are frustratingly obtuse. A hag will see spending 30 years ensuring that a particular butterfly's eggs hatch into moths as a vital keystone move within their grand plan, while the burning of an entire city and the deaths of all within will be an optional side objective, planned and completed within an afternoon. They will also often make deals with humans. Some will do this as steps within their own plan, while others will do it as an enjoyable distraction. Either way, they can achieve this due to their powerful glamour that will always make them look, to their chosen victim, like the most trustworthy individual they can imagine. Due to their glamour, most have never seen the true face of a hag, as only they themselves can lower it, with it remaining even in the exceedingly rare case of death. For those the hag has chosen to show itself to, even the MMB has proven ineffective, with all who have seen their true face taking the most immediate exit from the situation. For those who have made deals with hags, it has never ended well, though their stories are useful in understanding, in the smallest way, the way the hag thinks. I have 3 of the softer examples for you, as most are far too horrific to be repeated. Firstly, a 30-year-old woman by the name of Claire, who friends and family all described as beautiful. By all reports, Claire suffered with a severe complex around aging, desperately trying to slow the formation of the thin, barely visible wrinkles around her eyes. Claire asked a hag to preserve her skin, to keep it smooth and luscious for all time. The hag flayed Claire, sealing her skin within a jar filled with a liquid similar to formaldehyde. The payment the hag took for this service was the button of the left breast pocket of Claire's coat. Secondly, a 52-year-old man by the name of Rupert. Rupert's wife of the last 30 years had recently been diagnosed with terminal cancer. Rupert asked the hag to save his beloved. The hag did so by making it so they had never met, meaning his wife lived a completely different life and never developed the cancer. Subsequently, only Rupert remembered the previous timeline. For payment, the hag took Rupert's ability to express his love, meaning he was left with no way to reunite with his wife. Finally, James, age 27. James, an expecting father, had been passed up for a higher paying job within the company he worked at. After making the deal with the hag, all those who were qualified for the role in the company suffered violent deaths, meaning James got his dream job. However, he was shortly arrested and sentenced to life in prison after material evidence was found linking James to the crimes. What James had offered the hag was a single moment of joy from his wife's life. Sadly, her baby was miscarried shortly after. A deal with a hag will often have terrible collateral damage and will always end badly for the one who makes the deal. Interestingly, it seems that once a hag has made a deal with a single human, they are bound to one of their laws which compels them to offer a price and accept any deals that are asked of them in the future. Meaning that, if you were to ask one such hag to do anything, they would be forced to tell you a price for the service, and if you accept, they will have to promptly carry out the transaction. This can and has been used against them. There are those rare few hags that have never made a deal with a human before. These hags seem to understand their weaknesses, and therefore avoid them at all costs. The Order has been at a sort of war against one such hag by the name of Beryl for many years. Beryl, as part of her grand plan, has been attempting to acquire a small wooden statuette of a sheep for the past 300 years. Due to this obsession, she has sent legions of abominable constructs of her own creation against us time and time again. These waves come every 30 years or so and are made up of all manner of twisted, fused together carrion. We have attempted to hide the figure from Beryl, even swapping it out for a replica, though she always seems to know where the real one is at all times. We have also attempted to destroy the statue, however, for whatever reason, though likely due to her influence, it is indestructible. In keeping this small wooden sheep from Beryl, many thousands of men have lost their lives over the years, so the obvious question arises of, why don't we just allow her to claim it? Well, as stated before, the smallest action for us could be the biggest piece within the larger plan for a hag. So far, no hag has completed the larger plan, but knowing the Fae, if one were to, it would be catastrophic for us. We know that because of the time and effort Beryl has put into acquiring this seemingly innocuous item, it is most likely a linchpin within her design. We do have the advantage that hags cannot directly harm humans without the use of deals. However, as stated, Beryl has skirted this rule with the creation of her fleshy golem abominations, which she stitches together from a wide variety of deceased animals that she collects over the decades. These mindless hulks charge into gunfire without a care for their own destruction, crushing anyone between them and Beryl's prize. Due to these attacks, a fortress was constructed at an undisclosed location for the sole purpose of protecting the wooden sheep and keeping it out of her clutches. The structure is modelled on the old star fortresses, with massive, thick walls designed to hold up against the tremendous power Beryl's abominations can put out. Though even with this, the walls have been breached no less than 4 times, though luckily only the outer walls. But how does one deal with a hag, I'm sure you're wondering, and sadly I have some bad news for you on that front. Don't get me wrong, there is a way, however, it is far from ideal. Firstly, it must be mentioned that it is only possible to kill a deal-making hag, but thankfully that is the majority. Secondly, we ourselves are completely unable to kill a hag firsthand. The only way is to get a hag to kill a hag. So, to kill a hag, you must first make a deal with the hag, asking it to kill itself or another, and then accept its price. Thankfully, hags do have a twisted sense of fair play, or at least are compelled by their own repugnant laws to offer what they consider an equivalent exchange. If you were to ask a hag to kill all hags, they would ask for the lives of all humans as payment. But if you were to ask for the life of one hag to be taken, they would ask for a less apocalyptic but still terrible payment. It has only been done a handful of times throughout human history anywhere where Fae appear, but their chosen price is always some form of the asker's eternal suffering. Now, you may think to yourself that that's a small cost for removing a being that causes so much evil. However, if that is what you've thought, you haven't truly considered what it means, the depths of pain and madness that can never be escaped. In Wales, there's only been one recorded incident of someone taking this deal, and he was canonized for it. But I'm sure wherever he is today, he's still regretting his decision. Now, I'm not trying to diminish the massive sacrifice of the man and the great good it did for the world, but I want to make sure each and every one of you truly understand the weight of such a choice. As hunters, a lot is asked of you, and throughout your careers you will face things no one was ever meant to witness or be put through, but this level of sacrifice goes far beyond. But that will be all for today. With Arthur's might and Merlin's wisdom, thank you.